Yeah, good afternoon to all the students of class 10E, boys and girls. And today in our online class, we are going to start the chapter number 2. Chapter number 2 that I have written it on the board, Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. It's a chapter about the Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa. And he was a freedom fighter of South Africa also. And former president, great man and a scholar person of South Africa. And the people of South Africa promoted and loved him a lot and too much due to his great personality. Okay. Before starting this chapter, I want to show a PPT of this chapter, PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared it for you. PowerPoint, it will help you a lot to understand the chapter. What is the theme, what is the meaning, and what is the gist of the chapter. It will help you a lot to understand the theme, meaning, and gist. Character voice. PPT will help you, PPT will explain you everything. I think after that, no need to read much more about the chapter. After seeing the PPT. It will help you to understand the theme, it will help you to understand the meaning, it will help you to understand the twist and turn of the chapter that has been explained by the writer in the chapter. The story, Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. First, I will show you the PPT. Tell me my PPT is visible to all. Tell me yes or no, then I will start. Boys and girls, tell me first.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, thank you, thanks a lot. It is the first slide of my chapter, first slide of my PPT. Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. Your chapter number 2 of English literature, the main book, first flight. Before starting the chapter, we have some pre-reading questions, pre-reading tasks, previous questions. To read it first, to know about the answer of some questions, it is important for us to know about the answers. Some questions are written here on the board. Some questions. Name the question number 3. See question number 3. Name the foremost freedom fighters who fought against discrimination in India. Can you define the term discrimination? Next question. What do you think about apartheid? Next question. Who fought against discrimination in South Africa? Next question. And the freedom fighters of South Africa. Can anyone tell me what is discrimination? Can anyone tell me about discrimination? Meaning and definition of discrimination? Can anyone tell me about discrimination? Through this we understand the discrimination between between poor and rich, between black and white, between higher class society to lower class society. The differentiation, the difference, so the discrimination in our society, discrimination means that we must know about the difference between poor and rich, black and white in our society. We should know about it. Freedom fighters, different freedom fighters, they have already sacrificed their life to free the country, to make a situation and to make the condition well for the people of the country. In this slide, in the next slide, Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. Few things explained in this slide. Few things. The things explained here one by one, line by line in the slide. The name of Mandela's autobiographical book, the South Africa, and tells the story of Nelson Mandela from his life as a young boy to his decades-long stay in prison. He sacrificed whole of his life for the people of South Africa. Many times he was sentenced into the prison regarding the freedom fighting regarding the freedom for the people of South Africa. It discussed apartheid in South Africa, Mandela's struggle for equal human rights to everyone. He was always trying to make a stand right about the equal right in South Africa. Nelson Mandela's early life is focused on a struggle for the equal treatment of black people and white people. His early fight was only about the equal treatment of black people and white people. As it abridged from autobiography, his chapter is the first person and details in terms from Nelson Mandela's perspective. His book explained everything, the perspective of Nelson Mandela regarding the people in South Africa, because he wanted to make the equal right for the people of black and white, for the people of rich and for rich and poor, people of black and white, rich and poor. Now the next slide, who is Mandela? Written about everything from his childhood to president of South Africa. In 1994, when he was elected as a president of South Africa, he was born in July 1918, and in 1994 he was elected as a president of South Africa. A lot of things, all the things written about Nelson Mandela from his childhood to president, became the president of South Africa, born in 1918. In 1961, he abandoned peaceful protest and became of ANC, African National Congress. He started a party named African National Congress. Sentenced to imprisonment in 1964, sentenced to jail in 1964. And after ANC, after his release in 11th February in 1990, he and other freedom fighters, Nobel Prize winners, freedom fighters, started work negotiation and the other things, and a special social work to make free the people, black people of South Africa, to make them into the mainstream of South Africa. And so he started the party named African National Congress. And in 1994, he was elected as a president of South Africa, and his party won the election in 1994 in South Africa. First democratic elective government of South Africa formed in 1994. It is in the picture apartheid explained. I think no need to explain much more about that. I think you know very well about this. Apartheid, which means separateness. Which means separateness. South Africa from 1948 until 1994, the first vote, including all South Africa, was held. During apartheid, during separateness, those inhabitants, the people of South Africa who were not white, had their right restricted, were not allowed. Means the black people were not allowed to get their right, to get their equal right as the white people in South Africa. Means before 1994, there was the rule of white people in South Africa. Like India before 1947. People of rule of Britishers also was there. In 1994, there was the free and independent government formed in 1994 in South Africa. Let us come to know about the chapter. In a few lines, very important lines written in this slide about the chapter. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Building. What inauguration ceremony? The inauguration ceremony of Nelson Mandela's inauguration ceremony as a president of South Africa in 1994. Understand? Inauguration ceremony of Nelson Mandela as a president of South Africa in 1994 took place in Union Building of South Africa. amphitheater in Pretoria, attended by politicians and dignitaries of more than 140 countries around the world. And that was the first huge political gathering, dignitaries gathering at the time of oath-taking ceremony of Nelson Mandela as the president of South Africa in 1994. More than the politicians and dignitaries were there, more than 140 countries. Dignitaries of more than 140 countries. In the history of South Africa, that was a great event in the history of South Africa. Remarkable and memorable history in the history of South Africa, the day was. And he had given a very remarkable and great speech on that day. Who had given? Nelson Mandela had given and addressed his people as a first democratic president of South Africa, black president of South Africa. Nelson Mandela spoke to the gathering about the sufferings of common man in South Africa and that how the policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in their country. He spoke, he addressed the gathering, he addressed the people of South Africa in a very clear and command way, in a very beautiful language. He talked about the courage and struggle of comrades. Comrades means army personals. That every time he has seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea, means he also addressed to those who had sacrificed their life and also addressed to those who had given their life at risk, to those men and women to get this idea, to get this freedom of South Africa. It discussed apartheid, separateness in South Africa and Mandela's struggle for equal human right for everyone in his country. So he addressed the equal right to the people and said he always had an idea to give equal right to all the people of South Africa, even poor and rich, even black and white, even higher and lower. Important quotes from his address, important line from his speech, means from the speech of Nelson Mandela. Never again this beautiful land of South Africa experienced the oppression of one by another. I was not born with a hunger to be free. Who said? Nelson Mandela said, I was not born with a hunger to be free. I was born free and I want to be free. Nelson Mandela said, addressed in his speech to the people of South Africa. Free in every way that I could know. I was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion. He said, my boyhood freedom. When I was a boy, my boyhood freedom was an illusion. That was not really free. It was an illusion. But really, in the sense of reality, today we are free from our chain. Today we are free from our foundations. Who said? Nelson Mandela said an address to the people of South Africa. It was his extreme and intense desire, this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect. That animated my life. That animated the life of Nelson Mandela. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom. If I am taking away someone else's freedom, I am not truly free. Just as surely I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. When my freedom is taken from me, is really I am not free in real sense. As per my understanding, the oppressor and oppressed means ruler and ruled alike are robbed their humanity. They both are robbed their humanity. Rob the humanity means rule over others. In life, every man is, this is also the line of his speech. This is also the quoted line of the speech of Nelson Mandela. In life, every man has twin obligations. Every man has twin obligations means twin responsibilities. Obligations to his family, to his parents, to his wife and children, and he has an obligation to his people, his community and his country. Two obligations means one obligation to his family and another obligation to his country and community. एक तो फैमिली के रिगार्डिंग एक कंट्री के रिगार्डिंग दो ऑब्लिगेशंस होते हैं. एक फैमिली रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को भी फुलफिल करनी है, एक कंट्री रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को एज ए ट्रू सिटीजन ऑफ द कंट्री उसको भी फुलफिल करना. टू इन ऑब्लिगेशन दोनों देखने को. So he decided that he first to take care of the obligation of his country than his family. In a civil and human society, each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. As a civil human society, each man is able to fulfill. Means each man is able to fulfill those obligations, means both the obligations, to his own inclinations and ability, to his own ability and a standard. Each man is able to fulfill both. Yes, but in a country like South Africa, it is also the line of the chapter. This is also the line of your chapter. It is written here. It is written here. But in a country like South Africa, all are the lines of a speech of Nelson Mandela on the day of inauguration ceremony, oath-taking ceremony. Okay. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth, means man of my time and color, to fulfill both of those obligations. It is very difficult for them, means for the people of black, South African black people, to fulfill both the obligations. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. Man of color means man, black people who attempted or means enforced to live in isolation, enforced to live in punishment, live in isolation in their own country. They enforced to live in isolation. They enforced to live in poverty. They enforced to live in the state of hungry. A man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home, was forced to live a life apart. A twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. Sweta Kumari is interred right now here. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. In South Africa, the black people were punished to live in isolation. Black people were forced to live in isolation by white people, by Britishers. White people, गोरे लोगों के द्वारा उन्हें आइसोलेशन में रहने के लिए मजबूर किया जाता था, अलग अलग गरीबी में जीने के लिए मजबूर किया जाता था कि नहीं. ब्लैक पीपल को, साउथ अफ्रीकन को, बेसिक मूलतः जो साउथ अफ्रीकन पीपल है वो ब्लैक पीपल. This is also the line of Nelson Mandela's speech. I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family. But in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, as a brother, as a father, and as a husband. What he is saying? He is saying that, and just in the beginning choose to place my people means above my family. Means in beginning मतलब शुरुआती में वो अपनी फैमिली को ऊपर रखता था और कंट्री को बाद में. But now after few days, now after some time, he found that he prevented from fulfilling his obligation as a family member, obligation as a countryman. He raised his obligations first. Means अपने देश की जो obligatory ideas है country के लिए उसको उन्होंने पहले रखा, बाद में उन्होंने अपनी फैमिली को रखा. एक सन के तौर पे, एक भाई के तौर पे, एक फादर के तौर पे, एक हस्बैंड के तौर पे उसको उन्होंने बाद में फुलफिल किया. पहले अपने कंट्रीमैन और ब्लैक पीपल के लिए उन्होंने फाइट किया. Who said? Nelson Mandela said, addressed in his speech, addressed the gathering of South African people. I was not born with a hunger to be free, I was born free in every way that I could know. Means I was not born with a hunger to be free, I was born free. Means according to him, I was born free and I want to be free in every way that I could know. Free to run in the fields near my mother's heart, free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village, free to roam and village under the stars and the wide and broad backs of slow moving bulls, as long as I obeyed my father and abide by the custard and my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of man or God. Means when he was just, he explained everything, all the things, from his childhood to young age, from his childhood to old age, from his childhood to still when he became the president of South Africa, from his childhood to till age, from his childhood to president. He explained everything through the slides. He explained everything in the chapter. He explained a lot of things in his speech, gathering a speech, first a speech as a president of South Africa. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion. When I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. This line has written earlier. I have explained it to you also already. It was only when I began to learn my boyhood freedom was an illusion. जो मेरे बचपन में freedom थी वो illusion थी मेरे लिए. But in real sense, we are not free in that age. He said to his people, he addressed to his people. But on the day of inauguration, but on the day of oath-taking ceremony, he explained, today we, in real sense, today we are free from our chain, free from our foundations and rules. And I began to hunger for it. I began to hunger for to get my freedom. I began hunger to get freedom of the country and for the people of my country. The picture, with the help of picture, Nelson Mandela's determination explained beautifully. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. As a student, he wanted freedom for myself and for the family. He explained, जब मैं स्टूडेंट था तो सिर्फ मैं अपने लिए और अपनी फैमिली के फ्रीडम की बात करता था. जब यंग मैन हुआ तब मैं लोगों की बात करने लगा. तो और मैच्योर्ड हुआ तब मैं अपनी कंट्री की बात करने लगा. Who explained? Nelson Mandela explained to people, explained to others. तब मैं कंट्री की बात करने लगा. तब मुझे समझ में आया कि in real sense we are not free. So a person like me and others, we are talking about our freedom. We must be free from our rules, from the white people. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not be free, and so it is our responsibility to make them free from white, to make them free from chain of Britishers. So he started rebel against Britishers, started rebel against white people in South Africa, and became one of the most important and renowned freedom fighter face in South Africa. He became one of the most important and renowned face as a freedom fighter in South Africa. So now today, only with this slide, we are going to stop our screen share here. And after that, I'm going to explain you the line-wise paraphrasing and line-wise meaning of your text. Line-wise meaning of the text. Line-wise explanation, paragraph-wise explanation of your chapter.